Let me guess, the injury report at 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, you nailed it. Brian Thomas had a catch last week against New England where he was really well covered by one of their top guys and made the play. Is how impressive has he been, and what can you do to combat a guy with his ability?
Well, I've always said that there's no defense for the perfect ball, and especially when a guy can make unbelievable catches, which he certainly is capable of. But I've been super impressed. Every week he shows up on the big play reel of making these explosive gains, and he's not the only one. I think they got 3 receivers there that are pretty darn good. Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis. So not to mention Ingram. So they've got a lot of weapons. But I think for a rookie to come in and show the type of production that he's had and the explosiveness, I mean, we loved him coming out of the draft. So I've been really impressed with his play.
In that same vein with Bigsby, what kind of stands out to you about him? And he's averaging, I think, like 6 yards a carry.
Yeah, I just think the guy, I love the way he runs, his style of running. He's very, very, very physical. He's fast. He hits the hole. So we got to do a great job of not letting him get going. You got to have multiple hats at the ball. But since he's gone in there, I mean, he's been really productive, obviously. I mean, you don't average 6 yards a carry by not doing anything. I mean, he's physical. He makes people miss. He's got multiple just clips on tape of just that are pretty impressive.
Speaking of that, where do you think your run defense is at? There's obviously a lot of good things happening on that side of the ball. Where do you think that part of the defense is at?
I think just when you look back over the course of the season, I think we've done a lot of great things in that regard. It's never going to be perfect. I mean, especially when you're going against good runners, good offenses. But I would say just trying to be a little bit to eliminate some of those really explosive gains. I think that's where you can, because there's going to be gains that you can live with, like 4, 5, 6 yard gains that are going to happen. You just don't want to give up those explosion runs of like 20 plus or whatever, and that's happened from time to time.
Quay still in the protocol?
Yes.
Hey, Matt, when you think of really good defensive coordinators, what qualities do you think they have to be especially effective?
Well, they got to have good players to start with, But I just think, great. They got to see the game the right way. They got to understand the talent they have, and be adaptable to that talent and know how to put those guys in certain positions. I think just having sound schemes, but I think it's more than just, obviously the coordinator's so important, but you better have good people around you. I've always thought that whether it's head coach, coordinator, I mean, you need good people around you to help you be as successful as you can be.
As you went through the process with Jeff, because you didn't really know him super well, you obviously had a lot of mutual friends. At what point, or how did you kind of get the feel for whether or not he would be a good fit for you?
Well, I've always respected his football, and I love his demeanor. I love his passion for football, his passion for people. I think he's an unbelievable communicator. He's got a great demeanor about him. He's well liked, but he's demanding at the same time. And I think that is when people can be demanding, but they still are well respected. And in his instance, I would say he's a well liked guy, just by the way he treats people. I think he treats people the right way. And you always look at the man first, the coach second. And I think, as good of a coach as he is, I think he's even a better person.
Matt, will you and Robert Saleh have any communication up until game time, or did you kind of get that all sorted out while he was in Green Bay?
Yeah, it's no different than talking to my brother. So, yeah, we'll be in communication. We'll be communicating up until whenever. But he's been a good help for me this week.
Matt, in kind of what ways has he been a good help, just having him around this week?
It's always nice to get a fresh perspective on things. Sometimes you get so caught up into what you're doing all the time, and you look at things a little bit differently. And he's got great perspective. Obviously, very smart guy, and knows ball. I mean, he knows when it looks right and when it doesn't. And so, just leaning on him, just certain things we saw that we might feel like we might be able to take advantage of in the game, and as well as things that we can do a little bit better from an offensive perspective.
Can I ask you one more thing about Hafley?
Sure.
I was asking him yesterday about listening to his players and kind of just overarching for you and for him. How do you balance that? I've done this long enough that there's coaches that don't want input from their players. You view it a different way. You're not going to do everything they
I'll never run from the conversation, and I think he's of the same mindset. I don't think you can. Like I tell the guys all the time, I'll always listen, but ultimately we have to make a decision in what we feel is the best interest of the football team, and sometimes you may not like that decision, but I hope that you'll respect it. And I think he's of the same mindset.